Hello everyone, welcome back. Zen Odyssey, Food and Mood. As always, I always say it, but I'm always stoked you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining me. It's totally an honor and a pleasure. So today I want to get into man-made food, the problem of it, and the remedy of it. First, let's start by defining man-made food. So in the 1950s, they called it ready-made food. So I'm talking about all the food that is medium to high processed. Like when we cook food, we're still processing food. When we make fermented foods like krauts and kombuchas, we're still processing food. But I consider these to be low processed or minimally processed foods. So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about man-made foods is I'm talking about the processed foods, the ones that we add preservatives to and that have a long shelf life and are packaged and man-made. Foods that couldn't exist more than 100 years ago, or that did not exist 100 years ago. Okay, so the problem with man-made foods, from my perspective, how I'm going to share it with you today, is that we believe, and I'm going to get a little bit more specific, I'm going to say that my personal experience and every single client that I work with that is working on a food shift, there is a belief, an underlying belief of what is normal to eat. And when we go through these food shifts, when I went through my big food shift, which took me many years, and when my clients go through food shifts, which takes a lot quicker, there is still a process of understanding what we believe to be as normal and the fight against ourselves when we're making that change. Some of the thoughts that my clients come up with that we uncover are, I should be able to eat this way. I should be able to eat like a normal person. I want to be normal. One of my really big things in my childhood is my parents prayed that I would just be able to eat like a normal person because I had all these food allergies and food problems and ended up with this restrictive diet and my parents just wished and prayed for me that I would be normal. And so most of my life I grew up believing this, that I wanted to be normal. And I watched my clients really struggle with the same mental construct of what is normal. And so I've spent quite a few decades really diving into this normal thing around food. And we culturally, and I would even say globally, believe that processed, packaged food, which largely came from America, is supposed to be normal, that this is what a normal thing to eat is. And if we really look back at time, that man-made, ready-made food is actually quite new. Like literally like the 1950s, like 70 years was when ready-made food came into our normal consumer market. So now, my generation, we've grown up believing that it's just what food is. It's just the normal food and that everybody eats it, so why shouldn't I be able to eat it? And as I work on my own digestive troubles and as I work with my clients and their digestive troubles, we understand the pattern that this normalcy of man-made food is actually the big underlying problem of our digestive troubles. That our bodies have not actually evolved to yet be able to efficiently and effectively process these foods. And so we have all of these amazing detox organs in our body. We have our skin is our largest. We have our lungs, we have the kidneys, the liver, and of course the intestines. All of these are detox organs and they're being pushed to their max. Adding all of these chemicals, all these processed items with chemicals and with preservatives and these man-made molecules, our body can't really, it can deal with it, but in small quantities and occasionally, because our body is an incredibly smart system that can deal with toxins and can figure out how to process it so that we survive and live. But when we keep eating these man-made foods day in and day out, meal after meal, they accumulate in our body, and our body starts to build up on these toxins. And so what I propose as the remedy for the bulk of digestive troubles, and honestly, if you ask me, for every human body, is a lot less or minimal or even no man-made foods. So to go back to how our bodies have evolved for thousands and thousands of years to eat foods that come from plants and that come from animals, and to not eat foods that come from factories and chemicals and preservatives. So the remedy of our food digestive troubles of today is actually to go back to whole foods, to real foods, to fats and oils and proteins and minerals, which feed and fuel our body and allow our body to build and to recover and to heal, as opposed to continually putting in these processed foods, which our body has to figure out how to store and eliminate, and is also at the same time being deprived of the nutrients that it needs. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. We're putting in foods that our body can't really use as fuel, and they're also toxic to our body. So it's kind of a double-edged sword where our bodies are becoming deficient, and so this also handicaps them. And then on top of that, we're ingesting all these chemicals, which is another handicap. So where I like to go to next. So when I'm working with my clients, we address the belief systems of what we have around food, because our belief systems really matter, because our belief systems are just well-worn thoughts. They're thoughts that we've thought over and over again, whether they've been given to us by our parents and our family or marketing. We have these belief systems around food. What is normal? What is normal to eat? What we should be able to eat. So the first step is uncovering this belief system, because belief systems and thoughts are what drive our feelings, and how we feel about food creates how we act around food and what we eat and how we eat and our relationship with food. So it really, really matters to understand what we think about food. What are our belief systems? What are our thought patterns around food? So one of my most favorite parts is like defining a new normal, is like first questioning. What is uncovering the thought, and then question the thought, and then create new thoughts and new belief systems. So what I'm really excited to be a part of, because I know there's many of us out there who are onto this shift on questioning what is normal, questioning the man-made foods that we have, questioning what we're being told and marketed to. Even I know this is a little bit of a tricky subject, but I'm going to touch on it. Even the food guide pyramid, like from everything I've studied in my life and how I've healed my digestion, the food guide pyramid is upside down. We should not be eating so many grains. We should be eating far more oils and proteins in our diet. I will totally get into that another day, but I'm not going to focus there today. So what happens when we shift our belief patterns and we focus on believing something new, adopting a new belief pattern, a new belief system? It starts by thinking new thoughts. And so I want to offer you some new thoughts around food. Maybe they're new, maybe you've already heard them also. But what it takes to make a shift in our digestive experience and our digestive reality in today's world of normal is believing a new normal, is creating a new thought, practicing a new thought, and learning, literally teaching our brain and learning how to believe something new. So I'd like to propose to you, what would happen if food was only fuel for you? What if food was only fuel? What if we detangled the emotional components of food, how we have learned to turn to food for comfort, turn to food for reassurance, for when we're lonely, when we're upset. We have all these emotional entanglements with food. What if we stopped getting our pleasure from food? Like our brains, we were wired and we evolved to get pleasure from food because it helped motivate us to go seek and find and hunt and gather and eat food, which helps us survive. But now we have this world of abundance. So now what if we took away the pleasure of food and we just ate food that fueled our body and we got our pleasure from other places in life? What would happen then? What would happen if you stopped having all of your pleasure every day from food and you found a different place in your life that you want to experience pleasure? So what if food is fuel? What if you didn't get as much or even no pleasure from food? I mean, I personally get a lot of pleasure from food, but I really love eating healthy food because I love how it makes me feel. I love the energy that I have. I love how it affects my life, my mental clarity, my productivity. I'm totally hooked on healthy food. I get pleasure just out of knowing that I'm eating something that just fuels me and sets me up for enjoying my life. And I know I'm getting a little bit preachy, but it's like one of my favorite, I mean, obviously it's one of my favorite things. Here I am, this is what I do, right? And what if we were all a part of a reconstructing of what we expect food to be in our social situations? What if we all rewrite what is normal? What if we take back this, our health, our digestive health, our food that fuels us, our food that deeply nourishes our body, the food that sets us up for a really high quality life? What happens then? What happens? Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it there for today. I am insanely passionate about this topic, which you know by now, and if you don't know by now, you'll shortly know. It's insanely precious topic to my heart. So we'll be back here, but I just want to give you this questioning, because when we start believing something new, when we start questioning what's normal, one of my favorite things ever, and we start deciding what we want our new normal to be, this is the magic of change. And it all starts in our thoughts. Uncover the unconscious thought, look at it, question it, and decide if you want to think a new thought, if you want a new normal. And today's topic was all about food, man-made food, the remedy to man-made food, and how to make lasting change. Thank you so much for your time, and you're awesome. You can do it, we can do it. Food and Mood Revolution.